Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 6. Shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, Woe, meaning destruction, to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. The word clay there in the Hebrew, going back to the word ibatya, which means debt. Yeah, basically meaning this man has created a system based on unjust balances, man, where people are literally squeezed for every single penny that they've got, because we live in a debt-based society where they're encouraged to spend now and think later. And then ultimately, man, when the chickens come home to roost, those interest rates start to squeeze on the people. They don't have the flexibility to maneuver. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for beauties unto them? Meaning that ultimately speaking, man, when this man is about to crown his enterprise with glory, when he's about to literally reach the peak of his wicked society, man, his NWO new system with the CBDCs backed by the chip, that's when ultimately everything's going to come crashing down, man, and these elites are going to be found out and caught lacking. Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee. Because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land of the city, and all that dwell therein. Because of all of the treachery and the dark um, arts these elites have utilized to get their society up to where it is, man. The manipulation of the people, the financial exploitation that they've generated. Everything that they built is going to be collapsed, man. It's going to collapse. Everything that they build is going to be broken down. That's prophesied Yahweh Bashim Yahweh through the word. Woe to him, because thou hast spoiled many nations, as I read, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee. This man's gonna go from the first to the last, man. His fall is going to be like lightning, because of men's blood and for the violence of the land, of the city, and all that dwell therein. I ain't even got to go into America, man. That's built off the bones of Gad, Reuben, That's built off the bones of Gad, Reuben, Issachar, the Southern Kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and some of the other tribes also there in the mix. And here in London, London's got old money from slavery, man. They exploited the Southern Kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. They had Judah and Benjamin come over here during the Windrush, during one of their world wars, and still exploited the hell out of our people, man. Had them fighting in their wars, living in substandard conditions, being subject to exploitation and downright discrimination, man. And ultimately, after the war was done, they then took away their rights to stay here as citizens, even though they welcomed them here with no papers. Devils, man. Devils. Woe to him that coveteth with an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. All this man has done is literally leech and steal from other people, man, and taking things that he has no business touching, man. Yeah, can't even let people live in a home that they can afford, man. Can't even leave people in their own lands to their own devices. Always feels that he needs to be in the mix. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and has sinned against thy soul. And this devil, man, is going to get judged. There is no retribution for Esau Edom, man. He's got a whole agenda, man, to have people literally living with nothing and being happy with it in his own terms, meaning that ultimately they're going to have to come to him for the hope of all things, or ultimately starve, man. This man is the fucking devil, man. And that's why the Yahweh Shai is going to bring an end to Esau Edom. I like to say Barakatah, Yahweh Shai, Kadash, for giving us this understanding and this truth. Double honest to our apostles. So like a double honest to our apostles and elders, a great millstone, and salutation to the sincere Akiam pushing this truth in all due diligence and sincerity, man. If brothers get a chance, you should watch this Martin Lewis interview, man. He goes into all of the madness that's going on, and pretty much, man, he's about 2.5 days ago, he put up a mortgage special as well about what the current 5% Bank of England base rate increase means for mortgage owners, man. It's gone up 13 times, man. 13 times the Bank of England base rate has been increased, numerology, and it's currently at 5% with mortgage rates on average 6% and above. There's talk about the Bank of England base rate going up a 14th time, potentially even up to 6%, which would mean that mortgage holders are going to be borrowing at 7, maybe even 8% in some cases. At the end of the day, man, it's all by design, and it's to move forward to this man's agenda of rolling out a digital banking system and crashing this current economy, man. Hey, and I say, fuck it, bring it, man. Bring it. because the sooner this man rolls out that chip, the sooner we get out of here. Let's play this video, man. And I encourage brothers to check out Martin Lewis as well. Watch this interview, watch his mortgage special he did about 2.5 days ago if you get a chance.
Now, major mortgage lenders face tough questions from MPs today, wanting to know how they're going to help more than 300,000 people whose mortgage costs will rise over the next couple of months.
And that comes as it's just breaking news that we are now at the highest level of mortgage interest rates since 2008, highest level for 15 years. And that is, I think, probably happened as a result in a slight rise in interest rates this morning following that news that wage inflation has stayed stubbornly strong in the last month, making it even harder for the Bank of England as they try to work out how to get inflation down. Now, Martin Lewis has an emergency mortgage special show on ITV tonight, and he joins us now. Martin, we were just discussing with Mel Stride, the Work and Pensions Secretary, the challenge the government faces. The truth is, isn't it, that the government needs unemployment to rise if they're going to get inflation back down again and therefore ease the pressure on mortgage rates?
Well, the problem is everything seems to go counter-logical at the moment. The interesting thing about mortgage rates going up is it's not some accidental byproduct of trying to fight inflation. It is actually one of the core ways that they're trying to fight inflation. The orthodox economics says you put interest rates up to take money out of society. You do that in two ways. You have to squeeze borrowers, which primarily means mortgage holders, and you have to squeeze them tight so they spend less, and you're supposed to encourage saving, which hasn't been going as well. So, I mean, you talk about record rates. I mean, we need to just think about what this means. For somebody coming off a 2-year fixed rate mortgage, moving to a 2-year fix now, they're going to be paying roughly £200 a month more per £100,000 of outstanding mortgage.
Yep. Hey, at the end of the day, London has inflated prices. It depends where you go, but you can get like maybe substandard, standard properties maybe going up circa 350k plus in London, and that's like maybe a decent sized little spot, depending on where exactly in London you're looking at. 350k, so you're looking at extra £200 per every 100k in mortgages. So that's basically about ultimately an extra £700, because you look at £200 for the 300 every 300k in London. So let's just say that's a new and a first-time buyer with their mortgage taken out recently. You're looking at 200k for every £200 Salakia for every 300k that they've got outstanding, plus an extra £100 if you want to account for that extra 50k. So you're looking circa about £700 on top of their mortgage costs being added on as a result of these interest rate hikes, man. And the Bank of England base rate, like I said, has been increased 13 times yeah, throughout this crisis, numerology and all of that. And then there's a potential for a 14th increase from where it currently is at 5% all the way up to 6%, which is gonna literally have car loan rates 7%, 8% in some cases. People are gonna be borrowing that, man, meaning that ultimately that the mortgage market is gonna crash, because at the end of the day, these rates are unaffordable. You can't be charging people car loan percentage rates on residential properties, man, because at the end of the day, savings rates are not keeping up with these with these Bank of England base rate increases. But the banks, at the end of the day, in terms of the money that they're loaning out, of course, because they want to maintain their payments back to the central bank, and the central bank ultimately is small hat owned, and the governments of these countries need to make sure that debt is regulated. It's fucked for the people, man. Home ownership is a thing in the past, man. And again, it goes into Esau's manifesto, man. You will own nothing and be happy, man. That is the agenda of these elites, and it's been the plan, man. People, I used to tell people all the time how mortgage repayments for some people on a month-to-month basis are potentially going to double. In some cases, they've almost even tripled. There's instances, there are people known as mortgage prisoners, because they're locked into their mortgage. They can't get anyone else to buy the property that they're currently residing in, so they can't sell it off. And ultimately, like there was one example of a woman in this video that's gone from about circa 700 and some change wherever she's living in the UK to now paying over the course of these 13 Bank of England base rate increases 1,700 for a mortgage. Insanity. But that's what's going on, because ultimately, man, the agenda of this man has always been to crash the market, man. And now is the optimum time to do so. And what do you think the replacement is going to be? The C hit, man. The Revelations 13, man, to 16 as a way to, essentially keep yourself within the financial ecosystem. And if you don't want to take that shit, then ultimately, man, you just gonna have to, you just gonna have to bite the bullet, man. And it's gonna be a real testing time, man. It's gonna be a real testing time. But like I said, let this man bring the ship, let him crash the system, because the sooner he gets to action, the sooner we, how Ratazar, get out of here, man.
£200 a month more per £100,000 of outstanding mortgage. And in some cases, say if you're interest only, it'll be very substantially more than that. This is a huge bill shock, and it is very difficult to square what's going on. I've met the Chancellor about what mortgage help is available, but much of it's sort of counterproductive to the inflation tactics. You can't, if you bail out mortgage holders, which is what some people have talked about, well, the orthodox economics says that's self-defeating because you're trying to squeeze mortgage holders. Now, I've got the Chancellor on the show tonight.
So essentially, people have to suffer this, because at the end of the day, if they bail out mortgage holders, you're basically going to throw out, it's going to be like the buyout to help, eat out to help out scheme, or whatever that shit was called, where people went out to essentially, with government money, to essentially fund restaurants. So the UK government during the CVID gave people money to go out and actually spend in restaurants, man. And that was government money that was given to these people to go out and have meals on behalf of the government to basically spur innovation and business within the restaurant industry. If they bail out homeowners and give them money to repay their mortgages, then they're going to have more disposable income. The whole purpose of interest rate hikes is to ultimately, like Martin Lewis said, squeeze lenders, so they have to put their disposable income towards essential needs such as the roof over their head, and then that decreases the velocity and the money within the economy, and really cools down inflation. But these devils know that ultimately speaking, inflation ain't going to be cooled down, because at the end of the day, you need interest rates if you really want to stop the inflation. You need bank base rates to be higher than inflation, because then ultimately speaking, what that does, even though it's going to cause ultimate pain for the majority of people because they're leveraged highly already, you want to be able to have interest rates higher than the actual rate of inflation to essentially really drive home that shock where people are literally scrambling for money to repay their debts, and in that way, the very minimal money will be spent in the economy, and as a result of that, the inflation rate will come down, because people are going to say, fuck that holiday, we're cancelling it, fuck that new car I was going to buy, we need all of the money that we can get to put the roof over our heads. Back in the 90s or the 80s roughly, when one of the large other large financial crashes happened on a national scale, people were dealing with double-digit interest rates, man. And then back then houses weren't even as expensive as they are now, but those times are coming, man.
Now, I've got the Chancellor on the show tonight. I'll be putting people's questions to him and asking him some of my own as well. And I want to know where he thinks interest rates are going to go and what room he's possibly got to help people who are finding it absolutely unaffordable when they come off their fixes or they're already on variable rates and they simply can't pay their mortgage. Which comes first, the economy or the individual?
And just picking up one thing you just said there, and I know you're going to be careful about giving direct advice, but right now, if I was coming off a fixed mortgage and was thinking to myself, what should I do? I think personally, I'd be rather wary about another fix now, because I might be fixing and locking in quite a long period of high interest rates. So my instinct would be to wait and see and go for variable for a while. Would that be a wise thing to do?
There just is no answer to that question. I'll have a panel of specialists and we'll be talking about that on the show tonight, trying to work a way through it. But the honest truth is, if you look at what the market's predictions are for interest rates, we're currently at UK base rates of 5%.
Yeah, and basically, long story short, what he's going to go on to say is that the base rate is currently at 5%, but might move upwards towards 6%, meaning that you might lock in a 5% interest rate. You might decide against locking in from a 5% interest rate, stay on a variable rate, and then the base rate is going to increase anyway to 6%. So you'd have been better off locking in at a 5% rate. Whereas if you lock in for a 5% rate, yes, it's expensive and it's hell, but you're gonna save yourself the pressure or even higher rates in the future when things go to maybe 6% or even 6.5 if these devils really want to squeeze the people. So at the end of the day, there's no definitive answer to that. It depends on what the Bank of England's going to do. They might decide to increase rates higher again, which where if you're on a variable, you're going to end up fucked. But ultimately, they might again lower interest rates, and then you might get fucked by being in a locked rate for about 3 or 5 years, depending on what you go for. So what he's going to go on to say is pretty much just if it's affordable for you at the moment, then do it, and if not, you're gonna have to just play the game and risk it. But interest rates could go higher also. It's just a game, man. It's a game with these devils, and at the end of the day, it's unjust balances. But that's why we have no continuing city here. And like I said, ultimately all of this is going to lead to the Revelations 13 to 16, the charagma, because he's going to purposely crash the system and make it look accidental, like they did everything that they could to save it. But these devils are calculated. They know exactly what they're doing. Men like Boris Johnson, as much of a clown as he came across to be, he's a devil, and he knows exactly what he was doing when he locked down the economy. He knows what that would have done. Rishi Sunak is not an idiot, man. He's an educated devil. He might even be a small hat in elam skin. Yeah, he knows what happens when you throw out mass amount of funds and increase quantitative easing within the economy in a short space of time. Inflation, man. Yeah, but he still did it. You know why? Because at the end of the day, these people know that these people are foolish, and they know that they'll lap it up. This is the book of Revelations 13 to 16. And he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. That mark is the chip, man. And with that, you're going to be able to buy, sell, and transact. The technology is here. And that no man might buy or sell, save he, meaning except he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. 666. And when you go in the spirit, when you go into the man that was actually significantly behind the barcode system, he's got 3 names. I forget his names. One of the brothers from the States shared it. I can look it up later and post that in the comment section. But he's got 3 names with 6 letters in each one of his names. Like, the Heavenly Father is deep on many levels, man, both on the left and the right hand side. I'm telling you, this society is going to crash. They promoted mortgages like it was the go-to thing. You know, like at the end of the day, I was telling people, man, as soon as they announced the CV and they said they were going to be closing down stores and having people locked down at home, getting free money and not working, I knew exactly from then where it was going to cause high inflation in the end, because they were going to be pumping out money with less goods being produced, meaning that you're going to have increased velocity, more money chasing less goods because the factories and the stores weren't open. And then lo and behold, come 2023 now, everyone's panicking, talking about how did this inflation occur. It's simple, man. These devils literally, man, increased velocity, the amount of money within the system, and stopped production, man. It's that simple. It's that simple, because they were purposely trying to crash the economy, man. And hey, that's why we gotta stay on our P's and Q's, man. Because, and what I mean by that is that we just gotta stay focused in, because, like, ultimately, man, this society is gone. It's finished. And that's why it's important to remember, man, that the Heavenly Father is the only way out of this. Riches are not gonna profit. You might have $1 million in the bank. When this system crashes and we're no longer operating on pounds and dollars, but Bitcoin and whatever the hell they got there as the American equivalent to the digital currency, you best believe shit is gonna switch up. This is the book of Ecclesiastes 12:1. Remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. People working cease because they are few. And those that look out the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets. Basically meaning shit is just gonna pretty much just collapse. When the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up with the voice of the bird, and the daughters of music shall be brought low. Remember the Lord when things are bad but not ultimately shit hits the fan point just yet, because it's going to get very dark out here. It's going to get very desperate, man. People are going to be losing the roof over their head. People are going to be unable to feed their children, man. And this is all manufactured. And that's why, pursuant to 2 Ezra, the 15th chapter, they're not going to take regard for their kings nor princes, because the lesser luminaries, your Rishi Sunaks, your Jeremy Hunts, your well, you know, he's no longer in politics, but individuals like your Boris Johnsons, your Joe Bidens over there in America, your Trumps, they're going to be taking the fall for this, man. People are going to be looking for them. But you know who's ultimately going to benefit? The Rothschilds, because they're going to roll out their digital CBDC currency, man, at the expense of their fall guys, man. But they're still going to collapse anyway, because the Lord ain't going to allow it to occur. And that's the thing. The Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, when this man's about to fill his belly, man, when the elites of this society are about to crown their enterprise of success, the Lord's gonna come and strike them through, man. And that's what we're waiting upon. For Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Bashim Rakakadas to bring that judgment. And you best believe it's coming, man. You best believe it's around the corner. Hey, man. I'm gonna come back and retouch this topic when I have a bit more time. But until the next time, I say Shalom. And I hope this video has been edifying, man. Shalom. Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Barakatham. And check those videos out, Akim. Shalom.